For better or worse, throughout my entire life, I've always been the odd one out. And for a long time, I felt ashamed of that. I felt as if I was too different. 'Cause up until the age of 11, I never had friends. Like, I had people who I spoke to, like classmates and whatnot, but somebody I can say, oh, that was actually a friend, that didn't happen until I was maybe 11. And even then, it wasn't really anything substantial. It meant something when I was 11, but in terms of looking back on it now, it was more like I was just friends with the other kids who didn't fit in, and we would fit in together. But now I look at my life and I'm the youngest person at this office building. I'm 19 and I rent an office space. I'm 19 and I'm an author and a speaker and I'm all of these things. And that's not to brag, that's to say that I've made something out of myself. I've really become something. Even in a world that has constantly shamed me for being who I am and being different and standing out and having my hair how I want to have it. Like, y'all can see this. I got dreads that are like long, I got skinny ones, I got fat ones, I got this one back here that's just doing its own different thing. I have, my hair really tells the story of my life. I have a dread back here that let me find it for you. Yeah, I have like this one that has like a little nub at the bottom. My hair really represents me. It represents how I'm not perfect to what the world wants. I am perfect in me. I'm perfect as who I am and what I am. But what I want to talk to y'all about today is maybe you're like me. Maybe you feel different. You feel like you don't fit anywhere. You feel as if you have trouble with making friends, not because you're hard to be around, but because you're just authentic. You're real. Not to shame people, but if you really look around, most people are just pretending to be someone or something that they're not to get the approval of others. And when you don't pretend and you don't conform to what society wants, you will be shamed for it. You will be outcast for it. Look at Jesus. Jesus is the perfect example. He ain't hurt nobody, he ain't do nothing wrong. He said, I'm trying to help all of you to love yourselves. His goal was to help you to love God and to help you to love yourself. That was his goal. And then they killed him for it. Obviously, I'm not saying I'm on that level, but the point still stands that when you're different, you will be shamed for it. Now, for those of you who don't know, my name is Lawrence. I'm a youth empowerment speaker. I spent the last 19 years specializing in helping teen and young adults build self love, confidence, and overall positive outlook on life. In addition to my entrepreneurial ventures, yeah, that's a real word. I've also written books, which you can purchase below. I do one-on-one consultations. And if you would like to bring me in for your school, organization, or to interview me on a podcast, you can contact me at my email address below in the YouTube description. And with that said, this video is really just about letting you know that you're not the only one. We get trapped in our head a lot of times. We start to think nobody understands, nobody gets us, I'm the only one. No one's had this problem like me. No one's ever felt this way. There are 8 billion people in the world. I can assure you, no matter what problem you have, somebody else had the same problem. They just probably haven't talked to you about it. They just probably haven't said it, but they have the same problem. There is not a single problem you can have that somebody else has not had and solved. That could be medical, that could be financial, that could be spiritual. It could be emotional, it could be mental health, it could be anything. You are not the only one. You know, when I felt so outcast, or when I felt so different and people were shaming me for it, I got bullied for it. I felt like I was the only one. I felt like nobody gets it, no one understands, but I wasn't the only one. And through your journey, you will meet and come across people who remind you you're not what the world tells you that you are. You're so much more than that. Before they passed away, my grandpa and my great uncle, they would often tell my family, that kid's a literal genius. Like, whatever he's saying, I don't understand it. But I know that kid's a genius. Y'all need to hype him up more. And they did. They were wonderful. I loved being around them. Rest in peace to them, though. And I remember my grandpa in Pacific, when I was maybe like 6 or 7, I was over at his house and we were watching Star Trek together. And we were just vibing out. Like, that's the only word I could think to describe it. I was laughing and giggling and trying to figure out how to actually build that stuff. Like, I really thought I was gonna build a warp drive, and the world can try to take that sparkle out of you. Don't let them. Do not let the world take that childlike wonder away from you. Because yeah, life gets tough sometimes. You know, life can be challenging. There's so many different issues in the world. There's major, major issues in the world. But it's really a miracle to be able to stay faithful, that even in the midst of all the chaos, that there is something good. Even in the midst of the suffering and the inequalities and all of these things, there is hope. Things can get better, and you know, you can get better, but you're perfect. You are a child of God. You were molded in the image of that. The issue, though, is that the world often makes us forget. It's not that you're broken. You're not. You're not what the world tells you that you are. You're so much more than that. It's unfortunate, but if you're a black man like me, growing up, there's like a 99% chance that you were told you either had to play a sport, rap, or do crime. There's like a 99% chance of that. And to a person who doesn't know who they truly are, they will more than likely end up becoming what they're told to be. You know, and it makes me sad because we have a lot of people in prison and jail and whatnot who are good people. They just made very bad decisions in the name of trying to look cool or in the name of being accepted. Because if you grew up without a dad or an uncle or a good male role model, the gang is the closest thing you have to a father. If you grew up without siblings, the gang is the closest thing you have to some siblings. Or you grew up without any family at all. The gang is the closest thing you have to a family. Yeah, y'all doing bad stuff, but to a kid, it kind of makes sense why you join that. You want to be protected, you want to be accepted, you want to feel love, and the only love, well, conditional love, is the gang. Then there are other people get into it because their parents were into it. There's a lot of nuances to it. I'm not saying I'm an expert on that. I'm just saying that is one factor that I am well versed on. And now I want to bring up, how did I learn to accept myself? Like, okay, Lawrence, there was a time in your life when you didn't accept yourself and love yourself. Now you love yourself. How'd you do it? I had to peel back all the layers of the conditioning of what the world told me that I was, and ask myself, do I agree with that? Oh, you got to be a basketball player or a drug dealer or this or that. I don't agree with that. Let me peel that layer back and remove it. You can only make this amount of money. I don't agree with that. Let me pull this away. You can only dress this way. I don't agree with that. Let me dress how I want to dress. You can only have your hair this way. I don't agree with that. Let me do what I want to do. And layer by layer, little by little, I began to accept the thing that I was shamed for. I accepted my voice. I accepted how mid sentence I just go like this, and it's not a voice crack. It's just the way I talk. I've accepted so many things about myself. I have accepted the fact that when I'm excited, I talk like I have marbles in my mouth. I have accepted so many things that the world tried to shame me for. I have accepted me. And for a for a substantial amount of my life, I was shamed for being me. I used to get told I talk white. I used to get told, "Oh, you weird." Back when I worked at McDonald's, it was December of 2023. Yeah, well, December 2023. I had this manager, and he told me that you're too happy. You need to go work with the white people. Now, I was so confused when he said that because I'm like, Dad, black people can't be happy. We can't smile. We can't find a reason to be enjoy the fact we ain't dead. We just gotta walk around with mean mugs and eye everybody. No, we could be friends. Let's, like we gotta be locked in this little kitchen together for for the next 6 hours. How about we have a conversation? How about we ask each other how our day was? How was school? I gotta be locked in here with y'all for 6 hours. We can't smile. And I don't even mean this racially, but just there's a lot of environments where people are taught to not like each other. There's so many environments where people are taught to be closed off, to think that everyone's out to get them and that everyone's a shark and nobody can be trusted and men ain't this and women ain't that and if he looked like this or she looked like that or it's a mess. We shame people for being themselves. We shame people for things that really are just them being them. If somebody wants to walk around in a suit and tie just because they feel like it, let them. If somebody wants to walk around with purple and pink and blue hair, let them. It's not on your head and it's not on your body. Let people do what they want to do as long as they're not hurting themselves and they're not hurting others. And the last thing I'm going to close out on is okay, so you start growing, you start accepting yourself, you start being you. People around you aren't necessarily going to like that because they only know the version of you that was small. They only know the version of you that was hiding, and they only know the version of you that was timid. Now, when you start to be more outgoing, more confident, more bold, more assertive, more respectful of your own boundaries and your own self, it's like a shock to them because they knew who you used to be, but now you're something different. And because you're now something different, it requires them to treat you different. People don't necessarily like to do that. Not to say that they are out to get you or want to shame you. No, it's simply they don't like change. And that means that some people can adapt, some people can grow with you, some people can learn to accept you for who you now are, but most of them won't. So that means you're going to have to get new friends, new relationships. You might even have to remove family members. I did that. But as long as you keep moving forward, you will get better. But the price of growth is discomfort. The price of growth is removing people, places, and things. The price of growth and self love and acceptance and confidence and all these things we want is removing what no longer serves you, removing ways you think, removing certain things you eat, removing certain places you go, removing certain people you're around, removing habits, removing vices, removing a lot of things and replacing them with people who are supportive, habits that are supportive, places that are supportive, good environments, etc., etc. And if you got value from this video, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. As well as, again, you can purchase my books in the link below, as well as if you would like to interview me, bring me into your school or organization, and if you would like to book a one-on-one consultation where we'll have a conversation with one another, discuss anything you might need advice on, what you're going through, etc., you can book that below. Have a wonderful, blessed day.